Hello, it's Paul from Mode 7 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tokyo 42. The first thing I'm going to show you is a multiplayer level. This is called Market. It was the very first level of the game that the developer Smac Games showed to us when we decided to publish the game. This is our very first published title, and it's really exciting to be showing you a bit more of it. So in multiplayer, what you do is try to blend in with the crowd and then run around picking up weapons and ammo and finally bursting out of cover and attacking your opponent. So you can change your skin to blend in with all those little guys wandering around there. But what I really wanted to show you in this demo was just some of the detail and depth that has gone into this level, and that was one of the reasons why we decided to publish the game. So I'm just going to get my sniper rifle out here, and this is what I'd be doing if I was playing multiplayer. I'd be trying to find my opponent in the crowd, but if I let a bullet fly, you can see the crowd sim kicks in and everyone starts running. All of those people are going to try and run and get on that taxi that's on the far left there. And just this really interesting coupling of crowd simulation stuff with these very handcrafted fine detail. Also, the excitement of being able to rotate a level like this when you think it's 2D was really awesome and compelling to me. So all of that together, when I saw it instantly, I kind of didn't mind what sort of game it was. Turns out it's a really interesting skill-based action game, certainly multiplayer. But I think the first 5 seconds of a visual impression that a game gives you are so important, and when we were looking for our very first thing to publish, that was pretty interesting. So here I'm just going to go down this lift, and I'm going to attempt quite a tricky jump across the bottom here. There are some really hard jumps and things in the game for higher skilled players, and if I can just get to... I wouldn't count myself among those. After a few tries you can get it though. So that's really useful for grabbing some secret ammo down here, and then you end up in this little bonsai garden at the bottom. So the way that the game is designed graphically, you can have these very sort of segmented small areas with loads of detail here. You can see the little window down there with the banner. There's all kinds of stuff like that going on in the levels. So that's the very first thing that the developers worked on, and after that we had them do some work on a single player prototype. Now if you've been to a show recently like PAX East or Rezzed in the UK or Insomnia, then you would have had the chance to play this, and some members of the press have had a look at this. I thought I'd show it to you generally now, just to make sure that everyone knows what we're doing with the game before we announce some new content shortly. So the first thing we do is get you walking around and we teach the rotation mechanic. Then we send you over this bridge here, following a little navigation arrow so you know where your goals are, and you're going to meet up with your contact. Now I'll be skipping through dialogue and so on here because we don't want to see boring placeholder dialogue. These faces will probably change. This was an early effort to try and make these character avatars, and it was one of the things about the game which not everyone was into, so the developers are doing some work to change that. But aside from that, we've had really great reactions to the visual style, and a lot of things you see here will probably make it into the final version. So you can see our nav arrow is flashing there, and we're just going to run up here and pick up our weapon to do the very first mission. So the game's inspired by things like Syndicate and Worms. It has physics-based bullets and grenades, which really have a bit of a Worms influence going on. So there's that kind of classic Amiga feel to everything, which is something we at Mode 7 absolutely love, that our games have a sort of classic PC game and earlier influence to them. But also the developers really love their modern AAA, so there's influence from Assassin's Creed, there's influence from things like Metal Gear Solid, and various other things that you'll see creeping in throughout. And one of the great things about this art style is it enables this kind of pastiche, but still remaining coherent within the look of the game. Matchik, who is the lead designer and the lead artist, he told me that he wanted almost a super saturation of content. That was kind of what he felt when he visited Japan, that it was an inherently postmodern place, and there was so much going on. He was being bombarded with all different kinds of visual styles and colours from all over the world in a single place, and that's what he wanted to capture with his vision of this sort of cute yet uneasy and deadly Tokyo. You can see the giant head there. There's some interesting stuff that happens with that. Bit of a secret that we showed in the trailer. So now we've done our first mission, what we've got to do is head over to the top of this building and get the sniper rifle. And this mission is primarily about teaching the jumping mechanics. This was one of the things that we worked with the developers on. Initially it was pretty hard to see where you were targeting your jumps. As a response to that, they added air control, which really makes things a lot easier. You can change direction while in the air. You don't have to completely commit to a jump, and you have quite a lot of control there. And the other thing is the circle underneath the character's feet that will move along the terrain and show you where you're jumping. So here I'm just going to line up this jump, and one of the things that's really important to learn is that you need to use the rotation to get the correct perspective to line your jumps up. There I go. And then it's pretty straightforward from here. There will be some hard jumping sections in the game, but they certainly won't be essential. A lot of this game is going to be about choosing which missions you want to do and the kind of gameplay that you like. If you want to do a lot of jumping, that will be there. If you don't, if you prefer the combat or you prefer stealth, then you'll be able to approach things like that. There'll be a few sort of specific areas that require a certain kind of gameplay, and you'll see one of those later in the demo. But generally, this is a free-form open world game, and if you can find a valid way of approaching a mission, then you can complete the mission like that. So we're just going to unlock this spawn point up here, which will allow us to teleport back there at a later time. You don't have to run everywhere on the map every time you go somewhere. You can teleport around and do this little slightly tricky bit of jumping here to get up onto the roof. You can see someone looking out of that window down there. Again, even though this was an early single-player prototype, there's a lot of smaller aspects to it, which are a very important part of the art style and the feel of the game. There needs to be loads and loads of stuff in there, hidden things that you see on new playthroughs. So we managed to get our sniper rifle there, that's great. Now we have to go off and practice sniping. So we've got to head all the way over to the other side of the map. And one of the great things about the game is I can just fling myself off the building. If I think I can make the jump, I can fling myself off the building here and land right down lower terrain, and that can be really useful for ambushing groups in combat, and also it's just fun, which is what we're all here for, right? Potentially. I remember having an argument with someone on Twitter that those bears there were influenced by Danganronpa. In fact, the developers hadn't seen Danganronpa by the time they made this, so great minds, I guess. We're just going to sneak up here onto the roof of this building and make sure that we can get a good line of sight to our target. The sniper rifle actually has a really long range, and the bullet goes pretty quickly, but it has a really long reload time, as you might expect. But it does become incredibly useful in combat, and also for missions like this, where you don't have to get very close to the target to make your kill. There we go, there's our target down there. And like a true professional, I'm going to line up my shot and try and get it in one. Not quite. Okay, there we go. So these early missions are really tutorial missions. We didn't want them to be too hard, just to introduce different parts of the game. Now we're going to head down, and we've got to go back to where we were before, go to the shop and pick up some new weapons. So in the main game, you'll be picking up missions from terminals and also from these agents around the place. And there will be a main storyline, but there'll also be lots of little incidental side missions that you can divert yourself onto and do those sort of at your leisure. Just headed the wrong way there. I think we need to go back to the original building where we found the sniper rifle. And in a minute, we're going to teach the teleportation mechanic. There we go. So I can just have a look at the map there. That map can be rotated just like the world, so you can really get a good handle on where you are. Going to head over to the barge now. Really nicely modelled barge there. Again, the characters and dialogue are placeholder. And now I'm just going to pick up sort of every weapon I can possibly find. So just skipped ahead a little bit now, and I'm in Skirmish. This is the mini golf gang. I killed their leader earlier, and they're pretty annoyed with me. So here, what I'm doing is ducking in and out of cover, and aiming with my machine gun, and just strafing around. I think once you get the hang of dodging in and out of cover, the fact that the enemy bullets in these cases move quite slow. There are some melee guys who'll come in with swords, but I dispatch them quite easily. And now what I'm trying to do is just try not to get surrounded, and try and make sure that I can get in and out of cover. I think there's a guy on the right here as well. Yep, there he is. So try not to get pinned down from different sides. Keep ducking and weaving in and out. This is the sort of syndicate, super advanced element to the combat, which it feels really nice, this kind of skirmish combat. The aiming and the bullet hitboxes and so on were refined quite early on in development to make that feel really nice, just so that you have a lot of control over both your movement and where you're aiming and what you're trying to do. So now our next job is to get through this area over here, and we can do that in a variety of different ways. You're going to see I think potentially I'll attempt to just run straight through there for the purposes of time. So we'll see how that can work. Primarily, I think newer players would approach this as a stealth mission. But I'm going to see if I can just go for it. Okay, here we go. So I got spotted there, and the guards are going to run around and try and attack me. But as I have done this a couple of times before, I know there's a route that I can take just over here, which makes it quite difficult for them. Okay. Didn't want to get held up there. Let's see if I can land on this rooftop. Alright, now I'm going to try and bullet hell it. One of the things you can do, you don't have to use cover if you can dodge all the bullets. I just managed to make it across there. Hopefully I won't die to that last bullet. So I'm kind of in midair there. Made it. Okay. So now we're at the temple. This is a very sort of defined stealth mission. I can't actually approach this violently currently. Don't know if we want to be that restrictive eventually, but as I said, there might be some areas that need to be approached in a specific way. So here I've got to time my movement with the guard's search patterns. That guy's going to get distracted and walk over there. And I'm going to sneak in behind him and go up the stairs at the back here. Up I go. That guy's just down there, so I missed him out. That's nice. And we'll pop up here. So I've seen some of the new content that's going to be going into the game, and it's really exciting. There's a lot of bespoke, specific buildings like this. There's some quite big buildings that we'll be showing soon. One of the things that we will be doing is another video, which will be an interview with the developers. We're going to show them demonstrating some new content to us for the very first time in a meeting, so you get to see what that process is like. And we'll talk to them about their motivations for making the games. This comes out of many years of playing games together. The developers are brothers, and they sort of put their heart and soul and all of their gaming background and history into this project. And I really think that shows. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, just to show you where we're at and explain to you why I want to keep talking about this game. I think it's going to be really exciting when it has full content in and it's fully polished. So Tokyo 42 should be out early 2017. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.